is my mom, and this is my couch.
Hello,
is this gonna work? No, he'll get off in a second.
No.
Bye, Bubbles.
I figured he'd be like, this is uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta move.
Are you staying in here for the recording?
I feel like somehow I bumped the filter.
You gotta get our views for us, you know? Mommy is not entertaining enough, apparently. We have a guest today. So this is Welcome to the Music Lens Podcast with me, Alex Allegra.
And Katie Fee.
And Ant. That's you.
Woohoo.
He's so confused. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Get that scratch. Yeah. That was a good scratch. He scratched himself.
He almost fell over.
Mm-hmm. Well, banter-wise, we're still very busy. I will have just gotten back from Wisconsin by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not too cold. I'm a little nervous it's going to be cold, but...
my parents are visiting my sister in the western side of South Dakota right now, and yesterday I got a Snapchat that there was snow.
I was like packing like big flowy dresses. And,
it wasn't. It was melting when it hit the ground, but snow.
Still snow.
So
okay. So we shall see. Katie and I will also have played some shows together.
Yeah.
A show together. So hopefully that went really well.
Hopefully.
We got some cookies in us because I treated ourselves because I was like, we have a long day of podcasting, so crumble cookies, not sponsored. If they wanted to sponsor us, I don't know why they'd want to, but I'd take that deal.
We'd be down.
Yes, wouldn't we, Aunt? I don't know if you guys can see him or not.
I don't know if he's gonna block the entire camera.
Do you want to go let him out?
Do you want out, buddy?
Yeah. So, today's episode is a little more informational. We wanted to do a new series here on the podcast, kind of like History 101 with Alex and Katie.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd start off with music towns. So today we're going to talk about Nashville and how it kind of got its start as being deemed Music City and some of the roots. And I know it was called into question a lot with Beyonce's album and like why country music's roots and all of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But we figured we'd focus kind of more on the towns first and then go into genres and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So... today is Nashville Day, but first I was going to ask Katie, what made you want to move to Nashville? Did you know Nashville was the town you wanted to end up in?
Taylor Swift, yeah.
Okay.
It's like Taylor, because I don't know if it was like an interview or one of her like documentary early day things, but of like talking about how she was like, we got to go to Nashville, like to her parents and convinced her parents to move to Nashville. Because that's where country music is. So then obviously me wanting to do country music even after Taylor left. Technical difficulties. So, let's get back.
Katie was talking about why she wanted to be in Nashville. Did you think that Nashville was the only city you wanted to be in too?
Yeah, I never really looked into LA or New York. Honestly, New York I only thought of for like Broadway. Like I never thought of it as a town for releasing music as an artist outside of like playing a role on Broadway and doing that kind of thing. But yeah, just Taylor being like, country music, gotta go to Nashville, and it was like, cool, that's the plan then. So that's why I picked Nashville.
Okay.
You?
I picked Nashville kind of similarly. I knew I wanted to be in country music when I first started writing, so I was like, oh, Nashville, but in my mind it was always like go to Boston, go to Berkeley. I know we talked about this in like our first episodes of like how we kind of came down here. But everyone said like, don't go to Boston. There's nothing there. Like go straight to the source of a music town. So I haven't been out to LA. I really want to go. New York was closer to home and I knew that was Broadway world and I didn't want to do that. So, and it's expensive as hell to live in New York. And I was like, money, and I didn't want to be that close to home. I was very ready to be on my own and independent. And now I kind of look back and I'm like, maybe maybe Philadelphia would have been a good option too. But again, we'll talk about other towns. And So Nashville was kind of it for me. And then the second, I know I've said this before too, but the second I got here, it just felt like, yes. And there's just like this energy in the city, and I still love it. I think I still just love being here. It has just like the best of both worlds as far as being in a city, but also like there's residential areas and it doesn't all feel like city. Yeah. But it's like also there's always something going on, and it has that aspect of a city where like I'm never bored and there's always something to do if I wanted to find something to do. Except for on Sundays, because that's just living in the South.
Pin drops on Sundays.
Well, I mean, like, things just close early on Sundays, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, I can go for, like, late night food anywhere on, like, Friday and Saturday especially. But, like, if I'm hungry at, like, midnight on a Sunday, things are kind of closed.
That's fair.
Unlike New York. So, but, yeah, I love it here. I know I wish, like most people, that traffic wasn't a thing around here, but I mean, it could be worse. When I was driving in Atlanta, I was like, I never want to be here. So I will say, at least, like, but I don't know, I think it's just, there's a lot of people that just do a lot of stupid things on the roads here. It's just like, and I just feel like there's so much going on. And then obviously, like, every time I get super excited that it's more than just country, then it always seems to like swing the other way, and it's like it's only country sometimes. But I mean, we're working through that. But I have the history lesson for today, unless there was anything else you wanted to talk about before.
I feel like we kind of already started the thing, and I can't think of anything anyways, so.
Yeah. I would love to know if there's anyone out there that is a native to Nashville that also is a pursuant artist that wants to stay here. That maybe even isn't in country music, but like...
Right.
Because there are apparently like those 1 in a million type people anymore. Yeah, is what I was going to say.
They're called the unicorns.
But when I sang 1 in a million, I just started singing the Hannah Montana song in my head, so...
Okay.
You're 1 in a million.
Yes, I know.
So, I used to also work down at the Ryman, so I already had like a good history lesson under my belt for things. I was actually just thinking about this. I had just thrown out all of my old working papers the other day from my closet, or else I'd have my whole like spiel that I used to give working at the Ryman, because I gave tours and like used to go through the history of all the dressing rooms. Also, I know there's a bunch of like little hop on, hop off trolley history tours around the city too, which are kind of cute, and I've heard people say good things about them, that they're like a cute way to go around the city. It's like the I know New York has them, and then like London is like a big thing too.
Yeah.
So we could go global too. We could do like London.
Yeah, we could like do
Germany and
Tokyo and stuff too. Yeah.
Every time I think of like people making it big overseas, I just think of like the one Belmont artist that like made it big in China, and then like he stayed there for a whole semester because his like music took off. He was like there for
I don't remember this.
Oh, one of my classes, he was like there for or maybe it was when I was touring school, and he was there for a semester abroad, and like his song just went viral there. So he ended up like dropping out and staying there for like a whole year, and like was a touring superstar over in like China or or maybe it was Japan. It was one of those two, and
okay,
it was funny. Anyways,
I don't remember that.
So we're getting cozy on the couch today.
This just feels comfortable to hold my legs.
Yeah, I'm like reading a bedtime story to Katie about the history of Nashville, the big music city, the big old city.
Big old
city. Sorry. Okay, so Nashville was always like a fiddle town, and like always had like some kind of roots in music. People would celebrate a lot post-Civil War and stuff by fiddling tunes in the streets. So, in the 1800s, Nashville was originally known as the National Center for Music Publishing, because they produced some of the first hymnals in the country.
That checks out.
Yeah. So, I mean, publishing's a big thing here, too, for sure. I mean, like, that's what kind of constitutes what a music town is. And one of the reasons that Nashville's unique, and I'll talk more about it, obviously, as we go into it, but one of the big things that a lot of the other places didn't want to deal with, and one reason why Austin's really growing as a music town nowadays, but also is having some like kickback, is because they don't want to deal with the business, whereas Nashville not only deals with the business but also the music, so they do everything. So that's what really kind of constituted it as like a music town. But So starting off there, they were producing some hymnals. Also all of the links to my research, because a lot of this was like I copied and pasted it on just so that I could like remember some wordings of some things. So we'll link show notes with all of our sources. But one of the first major acts that kind of promoted Nashville as this music town was the Fisk Jubilee Singers from Nashville's Fisk University, which was composed entirely of freed black slaves. So a very historical group here in town. Then less than 5 years after its creation, they were struggling financially. So in 1871, they started doing some tours to raise funds for everything. And it was composed of 9 student chorus members. And they toured around the Northeast. Then they became more successful and started touring full-time. So they were one of the first full-time touring groups to go through Nashville. And then they were singing mostly hymns and patriotic songs and spiritual songs. So it was more your gospel kind of singers, and that's kind of really why Nashville and Christian music and gospel singing was like a big thing and still is today, was from these early roots of singers. Then they donated what from their audiences early on to the Great Fire in Chicago, the Great Chicago Fire. So that like really kind of grabbed people's attention when they did that. And then they also just felt like they needed to grab more people's attention, so they became the Jubilee Singers in the same year that they donated the money to the Great Chicago Fire. And it was after the Jewish Year of Jubilee, a moniker that resonated with a biblical call for freedom. So again, going back to them being freed slaves, all very uplifting and just trying to get their name out there. And then the Queen of England they had performed for, and then they said when performing for the Queen of England, it's reported or like kind of rumored a little bit that they were then the Fisk Jubilee Singers came, that the Queen said that they must have hailed from a city of music. So that was where the first kind of sightings of Music City came from. It will later come officially. Where did it officially come from? It came later, but it's in my show notes at the moment, and it's later down the line. So we'll get there eventually. Don't you worry, peoples. But it gets its official name a little later. So that was pretty cool. I didn't know any of that, actually. Yeah. I figured it would be like, oh, it'll like start just with like the country music kind of side and history of it all. But it was like interesting to find that it was actually like
I think like I feel like, yeah, it's Music City, but we already know, like, it's primarily country, but Christian music and gospel music, I feel like, is kind of based here more so than, like, LA or New York.
This is their base, for sure, but, like, it's also, like, I think probably, too, just because it's, like, such a different style of music than, like, your normal, what is this? It was a rapper to something, it's okay. So, like, it is this, like, this is their base, so, but just because... And it makes sense with it being in the South and everything like that.
Yeah. Because we're in the Bible Belt?
We are in the Bible Belt, yeah.
I was like, I don't exactly know. I've never, like, looked at a map, like, where is the actual Bible Belt? Yeah. But I just know South is general location.
So then we're going to move on to the Ryman Auditorium, which was also a huge landmark here. Obviously, I've worked for it. I love the Ryman. It is one of my favorite places to see a show here. It is just, you just walk into that building and it's so great. I loved working for them. It's definitely a after school kind of job, I think. Okay. Or like if you're kind of retired, like that's normally what they get anyways, as far as like people being hired. But if you just have a love for music and just want to watch, I watched so many cool shows at that place too, just working there, like things I would never expect to like. And then and you get some flexibility in your schedule, but they also have like, you have to work a certain number of hours, so like you have to like want to put the work into working there, but I think it pays off. I loved it. But anyways, the Ryman Auditorium Ryman Auditorium was built in 1891 when riverboat captain Tom Ryman completed it. It was originally named the Union Gospel Tabernacle. A cool thing too was when you go on any of those tours, they have like a whole history lesson video, and you go into like their little chapel room, and it's so cute. I love it.
We skipped that part
when
I did the tour because we were worried about like timing of if we did that, we would miss my like time for doing the demo recording thing. So we skipped that part because we didn't know if we had time for everything.
You should, but it's cute. I like it. It's a cute little thing. It's also where we have our meetings before every shift, so I was in there a lot, but those benches aren't that comfortable. And it was the largest auditorium south of the Ohio River, and it was nicknamed the Carnegie Hall of the South. So it was known to have a lot of big acts coming through originally. Like, it had a lot of operas and ballets and gospel singers and some early big touring acts. But like I said, it was mostly like ballets and the operas used to come there. It was cool. But in December of 1945, the Grand Ole Opry star Bill Monroe and his mandolin brought to the Ryman Auditorium stage a band that created a new American musical form. So that's where bluegrass came from. Okay. So bluegrass was born right on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry in the Ryman, because the Ryman used to be the Grand Ole Opry's home for a long time, and then the Grand Ole Opry got its own location over in the mall area. It's called the Grand Ole. What is it called?
The mall's Opry Mills.
Opry Mills Mall area, yeah.
Because that's named after.
But it used to be Opryland,
yeah. They used to have like a theme park or something.
It used to be Opryland, yeah. So, but then it all got moved around. Yeah. So now it's just like a mall, and the Grand Ole Opry's there, and the hotel,
and the Gaylord Opry, which has the pretty Christmas lights.
Yeah. But yeah, so it, with Earl Scruggs on the banjo and Lester Flatts on guitar, it became bluegrass. And then a fiddle was added later into the mix as well. But they have a dressing room dedicated all to bluegrass in the Ryman backstage. It's up on the 3rd floor, so it's one of the taller ones. But it like has a bunch of old pictures, and it goes through kind of like the history of bluegrass, which was invented there. So, in the 1930s, a couple streets over from Fisk University was also a place called Jefferson Street, which had become a hub for entertainment and music and nightlife. So this was where some clubs, and it kind of broadened the horizons as to what was being offered in Nashville. And I'll get to that a little bit later, because then you start to see Nashville's rhythm and blues scene come to life, and R&B as well. So some of their early roots.
Rhythm and blues is R&B. That's what it stands for.
You're right. I just wrote it down weird. You know what? You're right. So rhythm and blues and jazz really became jazz is what I was looking for. Really became rooted here in Nashville as well. You had artists like Etta James and oh gosh, I have a whole list. Hold on. You had people like Etta James and Otis Redding and some of those early jazz singers and big jazz players like coming through, and they were performing on these side streets and big clubs. I'm realizing some of these notes are out of order, so I'm just trying to give you guys a full picture. And so that became another big hub of music. So that's why, again, just a lot of music originated here in Nashville, not just country, and I think that's
right.
So, and then in 1925, so we're backing it up a little bit. Again, some of these notes are out of order. We're gonna talk about how the Opry became the Opry. So, in 1925, the National Life and Accident Insurance Company had launched a radio station in Nashville, and the radio station was called WSM. For We Shield Millions was their motto.
Okay.
So they played classical and early listening dinner music. And then in 1927, they changed their weekly program's name to the Grand Ole Opry.
Okay.
In 1932, they got a new antenna, which then they were able to go nationwide with their reach. It was one of the largest at the time. It was the largest antenna in North America at the time, and they were able to I got an email. They were able to then broadcast live to so many Americans at home, and that was like a big form of entertainment for a lot of homes at this time. So
yeah, that's like, you hear stories of like Johnny Cash growing up in Arkansas and listening to the Grand Ole Opry on the radio.
Yeah, because this was pop music at the time, because pop just means popular music. So like this was the mainstream music, was these old bluegrass and jazz and rockabilly style songs. So like country music was like a big deal because it was like what you could listen to on the radio when there was nothing else. You'd scan through the radio stations and you could listen to WSM.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal. And then in 1943, they moved to the Ryman Auditorium where they stayed for the next 31 years until they got their new home. But nearly every country rockabilly star had gone through from the 1940s to the 1950s, including Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, Patsy Cline, George Jones, Dolly Parton, Charlie Pride, and Elvis. And actually, Elvis had auditioned but did not get in at first.
Yeah. Wait, no. Was Johnny the one that got banned? Or was it Elvis?
Hank Williams also got banned.
Okay.
There's a new exhibit
with, at the Ryman for, I think it's Elvis, for his like one-time performance or something.
Yeah,
I think it was him that I'm thinking about, because it didn't go over well or something. So
yeah, sometimes when they had some alcohol and drug abuse problems, they were not allowed to return to the Opry stage. But this is where you got artists like Minnie Pearl, and Minnie Pearl's still a part of the show a little bit. Sometimes they'll do her yeehaw call.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Opry was a really big deal. They have a whole Opry room backstage. They have a whole females room backstage. They have, what are the other ones?
You said Opry, right?
At the Ryman. They have, those are the dressing rooms.
I don't think I've seen the backstage for the Ryman. So
they have like themed dressing rooms. And all the pews at the Ryman were they're all still original wood and still, it didn't really get a facelift until more recently. And then they added the like concession stands area and the gift shop to the Ryman. But a lot of that's still all original to the building, which is why please don't light your lighters and your cigarettes and stuff inside there, because it is soaked in alcohol and it will go up so fast. Please don't do it. People have done it, but
oh no.
Yeah. But then you move on to Nashville's Music Row along 16th and 17th Avenue, which is still there today. And it's just basically, it's a bunch of little homes that are set up as your recording studios. And then towards the end, you get some of the big buildings. Like BMI is a big building. And like Warner is a big building. Curb Entertainment's a big building. But that's where like a lot of, NSAI has a building there. Like it's writers, it's your publishing offices, it's your kind of how you make your name. And then like the big record labels actually aren't even there, which I always find interesting. They're downtown. Yeah, but
most of them are downtown.
But it's where your publishing and your songwriters and all the creativity kind of lives in that area.
Yeah.
But originally it had the RCA Studio B, where Elvis recorded, which Studio B is still there, and you can take a tour. You can go from the Country Music Hall of Fame to RCA.
Yeah, they have like a bus that will take you over there.
Yes. Apparently it's a very cool little thing, though. Also, in the 1960s, it started to become known for R&B. People like Jimi Hendrix credits a lot of his guitar early playing to Nashville and playing these club scenes, including the Ritz Theater. 1955 was known as the golden age for the Jefferson Street's music scene. Club Baron was the only nightclub from this time that is still up today as well. Okay. It's still there. There's like a big Jimi Hendrix mural, I think, on the side, because it's where he used to play a lot, apparently, when he came to Nashville. But it was originally owned by a local pharmacist named Jackson H. Brown, and it was also one of the only skating rinks in town for Black Americans at the time. And then you go to places like the Koinonia
I have no idea.
Coffee House. It's part of Belmont.
Okay,
Because
but
that's
I
like
can't
the Belmont
tell
Theater.
without seeing the word.
Which is Greek for fellowship. In 1973, it opened its doors to more faith and contemporary music, and it became the destination for quote-unquote Jesus music. So that's where young stars like Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith first started. I'm pretty sure that's also where like the Belmont Church is. I think that's the one we're affiliated with. That's like right down the road.
Like by Ocean Way.
Yeah, and it has the new Well Coffee House across the street from it now.
Yeah, in that area. Okay,
yes.
Gotcha.
And then the true story of how Nashville got its nickname is credited to WSM radio announcer David Cobb, who ad-libbed an introduction in 1960, saying, "You are hearing live from Music City, USA."
Ah, gotcha.
Belmont University was also a big deal. Obviously, we have a lot of experience with Belmont.
Right.
It's a
they
big...
just Curb College just celebrated, was it 50 years?
Oh, was it?
I think so. They did it at the Opry and had like
yeah, I remember that.
It was 50, right?
Yeah,
so they've been around for 50 years now of the Curb College, which is the music business entertainment one, has a couple other things in it now too, I think. What was the new major? Didn't they add like a couple new majors lately?
I don't know.
I feel like the fashion one or something might have been added to that, but I don't remember. There's something, I don't know, but I'm just gonna eat my hair real quick. It's fine. Yeah, so they've been around for 50 years of educating people with music business and having that connection of Nashville being a place to go for music. So obviously you're learning the business and learning all that stuff in school, in a place where you can get connected with the actual people doing it for a living and kind of jumpstart your career from there.
Yeah, it's
that's been going on for a while.
Yeah, it's always was like a big deal, like that we took classes down on Music Row, and like if you walk up and down there, there's like a bunch of they're building a new building down there. And I even think some of the record labels and stuff are starting to kind of move their way down towards there, and with the construction and stuff going on. I think one of them just announced that they were getting a new building.
I also know Berry Hill kind of is like an offshoot of Music Row, like its own Music Row kind of starting up now. There's a couple of publishing companies over there in Berry Hill, kind of by like the Big Machine Tavern area.
Gotcha.
But I don't know if people are continuing to do that or if that was just like a thing for a couple years. So there's only a couple over there, but I heard that was supposed to like kind of be an extension at one point.
Yeah. What do you think of all of the buildings on Music Row, which I think is just like a very unique thing to Nashville, is that like everything is like these like little houses that they turned around.
I like that they're houses because you don't expect that. You think they're going to be like professional like businesses looking buildings, but it's like a house, which
you pull up to these little houses and you're just like and they're expensive little houses, but they're honestly so nice to write in. They're so cozy.
Yeah, it's nice because it's just like a little room that you can write in when you
don't
have,
feel like this like
there.
pressure of like, oh, you're sitting in this office
important
building
place,
and you're in an important place. Like you can tell like you're in an important place just from being down there, but like it's a kind of inspirational instead of like,
although some
pressure.
on the inside don't look like houses anymore, so it just depends on the building. Because like I interviewed for an internship at Big Machine, which was interesting because they're like, go, or like, here's where we're meeting, and then you go there, and then they end up taking you to the building next door.
Oh.
And I'm like, what's happening? But they're both like houses, and they don't say anything that gives away that that's what that is. It just looks like a house.
Yeah.
But the inside, it looks more like a business for them. But
and nowadays when you drive down Music Row too, you'll see like the big banners that have like number one songwriter, like whenever like they have big successes or like new artist projects, and those are really cool too.
Yeah. So it's fun to drive down and just see what banners are up, and especially when you don't listen to the radio as often anymore. Sometimes it's kind of nice to be like, oh, cool, they got a number one. Didn't know that. So, that's a fun thing. Did you have anything about how Broadway came to be?
No, I just know that it used to be a bunch of like strip clubs and nightclubs and stuff, and then due to housing laws and stuff, they got them removed because they didn't want it to be like that. I can look it up though really fast. Hold on. Oh, Trolley Tours has some other fun facts. Okay. So Music Row was developed in the 1950s and kind of developed after David Cobb had announced that it was Music City, USA. And then Elvis signed to RCA. And that's kind of how it started to get really well known. And then RCA also housed Chet Atkins, who was also a big writer, big person in town, and really developed the Nashville sound. So like the iconic Atkins. Did I say Atkins?
You said Rhett.
I said Chet.
I heard Rhett.
Oh, Chet Atkins.
Different people.
Yes, we should. Yes. Which is that like country rock pop kind of mix sound, which is the Nashville sound.
Pretty sure he's the one who has a picture in. I think I don't know if he has his own like themed dressing room at the Opry, but his picture's in one of them, and the picture looks like it could be Scotty McCreery if he was like from that age.
Really? That's funny.
Like, it looks like Scotty, but it's not. But he just got inducted, so.
Oh, yeah.
That's fun. Randy Travis and Josh Turner were there for his induction.
Curb Records is another big building here in Music Row. And it was founded by Mike Curb in 1964 and is a major independent music label.
He's also Curb
College
yes. At Belmont is named after him. His son was in one of my classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. But he is known to have hits with Tim McGraw, Leanne Rimes, the Judds, and he also helped really establish the Johnny Cash Museum, apparently.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
And the Music City Walk of Fame.
Oh, okay. I love the Walk of Fame.
Which the Walk of Fame, if you don't know, is similar to the Walk of Fame in Hollywood, are these stars, but they're downtown, right across the street from the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there's that park.
It's kind of hard to...
Well, it's Walk of Fame Park is what it's called.
Yeah, it's kind of easy to miss, honestly, if you don't know that it's there. So that's why I was like, maybe pointed out, because I didn't know it was a thing until I got here, actually.
Yeah, it's like there's a park right in front of the Hilton, and like you said, across the street from the Hall of Fame. And so there's all these stars of different people. And then by Music City Center, which is also across the street, but a different across the street from the Hall of Fame, they have not stars, but they have like little tiles of sidewalk that have like different song names and stuff. Because the Songwriters Hall of Fame is in
I was going to say
building.
the Music City Center houses the Songwriter Hall of Fame, and then there's also the Musicians Hall of Fame, like a couple blocks down.
Over on the like,
I don't know how to describe that area. Oh yeah, it's like where like the Nashville Capitol building is. Yeah.
So like the state capitol, and they have like courthouses and stuff over there. So I call it like the government.
Yeah, the government area. It has a name. There's a park name for it, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
What? It has a name for the area?
Yeah.
Bicentennial Park is somewhere over there,
yeah,
too.
Yeah, that's what it is, yeah.
I've never actually been to that park. That's where they have New Year's Eve, but I've never
That's the
been
only
over
reason
there.
I was over there was for New Year's Eve, yeah.
It's my dad wanted to walk there. And
it's a hike.
Because we walked that way. We went to a different park in that area instead, because I look at it and like, no, it's going to be quite a long ways to keep walking there and then get back. And
yeah.
We're not doing that.
I went down in that area because like that block was where I did this like Alice in Wonderland scavenger hunt on your phone. Oh. So like each like location that you went to had like a fun little thing on your phone to do, which it was actually really fun and really cute. But me and my boyfriend did it together, and we like walked around that block, and just even in that area it was like we were hiking up and down, because it's also like on this big hill, so like you have to hike up and down
Capitol
the hill.
Park or something. I don't know if that's the park's name, but it was like the Capitol Hill area that we ended up walking to instead.
Yeah,
now that I think about it. But yeah, it's very hilly over there.
Yeah, and you have to like get out of like the downtown area to like start going over there. It's like when we go to Fair Lane and then like up still.
Like, yeah.
But
Printer's Alley is that's not as far as that, but that's also like
that's
that direction
when
of
you
Broadway.
start to get that way.
Yeah.
Which Printer's Alley is like where a lot of like the jazz influence comes from, and there's like some really cool speakeasies down there too. Again, more songwriting based than it is like
there's a karaoke bar that we went to. Sammy and I went to with Nick and Justin too.
Where did I not get the invite?
I think Sammy and I played around at Alley Taps, and then they wanted to go to karaoke after. Nobody actually got up and sing though, so. But we got free
What's
beer.
your go-to karaoke song? Let me know.
I think they saw our guitars. Like, did you just play somewhere? Like, yeah, we played at Alley Taps, and then they gave us a free beer.
Oh, nice.
I was like, well, thanks.
So nice.
So that was nice.
Also, let's talk about Belmont and the Belmont Mansion a little bit.
Yes.
So, the Belmont Mansion is constructed in the mid-1800s by Adelicia Hayes Franklin. And that's who founded Belmont as well, as a all-women's college originally. Well, at first it was a zoo and her home. Yes. And then it was eventually the college.
And then eventually went co-ed, obviously, since everyone's welcome now.
Yes.
That's all I have of that page. Yeah, was Acklin like her married name or something?
It must have been,
because I know her as Adelicia Acklin.
Yeah, so same. Like, or maybe it was her maiden name. I couldn't rember, but
maybe. Yeah,
I know her as Adelicia Acklin. She also haunts the Belmont Mansion.
Her ghost is she's benevolent though. She's there. She wants to make sure the school stays open.
Yes.
And the students are taken care of and stuff. So she's like. She's
apparently it's like just she like fixes cabinets and stuff like that, like closes and stuff. But apparently they're redoing it so that they can be more interactive and stuff, because like apparently like the tour is cool, but it's also like very
if that will get some activity.
I don't know.
Kind of, because I know some spirits don't like things getting messed with, so like that will like I guess increase activity if you like. Because sometimes you don't know you have ghosts until you try and renovate.
Well,
and like, no, why are you changing my house?
I know that Belmont is very, like, wants to keep the, what's the word? Like, integration? No. The integrity of Belmont in its tact a lot, because like we still have the original, what are the gazebos now, our original bird cages and stuff, and like we have statues all over the place of like what each exhibit kind of was.
Like there's like dog statues and stuff, because I think she had dogs.
There was dogs, and then like there are the bear statue, because there used to be bear cages, and then there was like the flamingo cage is like the big brass one in like the other part of like Belmont on the newer side of campus. So they definitely like to like keep the history. So I think they'll like keep it again. I think they'll keep the integrity of everything, and it's just like to kind of renovate and just like keep it up to date.
Well, because my coworker and I were talking about it, so I looked it up recently. Because my phone case has ghosties on it, so that's kind of what started our conversation about ghosts. But there's like a website that has like the background of her life and Belmont, and like sightings of her and stuff. And apparently she like told one of the museum workers that they like put something in the wrong place at one point. So.
Okay, well, Katie and I for Halloween want to do a ghosty episode anyway, so we'll go more into the ghosting sightings of Adelicia.
The Ryman is haunted too.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about the Ryman's ghosts and stuff too.
Maybe we go on the ghost tour. We should go on their ghost tour.
Yeah. I just got, I'm afraid of bringing something home with me.
But it's the Ryman, and the Ryman's chill, and it's just Hank Williams' ghost. So
I think there's a couple others too.
No, there are, but and then we'll come back and tell you guys all about it.
I'm like, I would love to have a paranormal experience, but I don't want a scary one. I want a nice one, and like if you like let your shields down to be open to it, you don't know what you're gonna get. So
but
we'll see.
we can go on a field trip. Music Lens podcast field trip. Let us know if you guys have any other fun facts about the Nashville scene. Let us know. Katie, take it away with the ending stuff.
Cool. You can email any of the things you want to tell us about fun facts of Nashville, anything, just like stories or experiences you've had in music, at you can email the Music Lens Podcast at gmail.com. And then please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify and all the fun things. That helps us out a lot. You can follow us on socials at the Music Lens Podcast. And then you can follow Alex at Alex Lager Music and myself at Katie Fee Music on all the things as well.
That's everything. So we will see you guys next time. Goodbye.
All right, bye.